spare parts. Everyone needs them at some stage in their life. It looks like this car needs a bit more than most right now, but I'm in downtown Johannesburg at a scrapyard. And we're here to tell a story of an entrepreneur called Nick Ramsay, who makes his living out of connecting people with the spare parts that they need.
Hi, my name's Nick. I'm from a company called Looking for Spares. What we do is we are a facilitator, a website that helps people find spare parts at scrapyards like this. And you can see on this vehicle here, there are many spares that are salvageable, good, reusable spares, which in my opinion is the best thing, the way the world is moving. You've got to use recycled parts, use spares that can be used again, that have got a good life, and you can pick them up at a fraction of the price that you'd pay at a dealership.
So Nick Ramsay, thanks very much for joining us on the program. Just a little bit about yourself. What was your family background? Was there entrepreneurs in there?
I'm from a family of doctors. We've got about we had seven doctors in our family, all medical practitioners and surgeons, and I've been into motors all my life, building motors from model aeroplanes, lawnmowers, 50 bikes, and it just progressed. And I did a lot of motor engineering. I worked in an engineering shop for nearly 10 years, and I just developed into the spares business.
And you're specialised in building V8 engines, I understand.
Yeah, we offer a service whereby we mainly stick to the V8s. They're more lucrative. We build probably about 15 a year, and that keeps me happy.
And what gave you the idea for this business around the website? What gave you the idea for it?
Building engines and cars and motorbikes is my passion. I found it difficult to find the spares. You'd phone one scrapyard and they'd answer the phone and say, "Spares, good day, hold," and they'd put you on hold, and you come back and you say, "No, we don't have the spares." Put the phone down on you. So you'd phone the next one and just carry on like that. And in one day I must have phoned 30 places, and we didn't come right. And I thought, to hell with this, I'm going to start this business, which I did. We started generating leads through the internet, and we started off with 5 a day, 5 good leads a day, and then it went to 10, and then 15, and then 30, and eventually it was up to 150, and I thought that was my benchmark, and then I realized it's not enough. We send out about 450 quality leads a day. Some days we can send out 100 engines and gearboxes. The total equates to about 30 million rand a month that we send out to our scrapyards. We've got over 200 scrapyards on our system, and out of those scrapyards, we've sort of weeded out the good from the bad, and it works well for the average person on the street.
So me as a motor car owner, then I need a spare part. What do I do? I mean, I come across your thing on the internet. What do I do in a nutshell?
Most business these days is done through the internet, especially the spares business. It's an easy way of advertising for a scrapyard such as Hunter's Fitment Centre, etc. You know, the bottom line is, if you need a spare part, you go to the internet. Most people, the yellow pages is a thing of the past. Everybody Googles a term like scrap yards or used spare parts, and they'll come across our site because we ranked the #1 site in South Africa for we called Looking for Spares. Looking for Spares, we've got over 200,000 hits that we get a month. We generate, I think the last time I got the Google Analytics, we did 45,000 unique visits. That means new visitors each and every month. And then visitors, we probably get about 120,000. And then page views, which would be hits on the site, we get close to 300,000-400,000 depending.
Was there anything like this before? I mean, what competition have you got in this line with a website getting spares?
No, look, there was always people trying to generate leads and sell them off to scrapyards and that kind of thing. But nothing like what we've accomplished.
But you do the whole thing
Yes,
for everybody.
we don't get involved in the sale. So we send them out in batches of, as soon as we've got a batch of 50, we send them out. Our scrapyards have got their own login codes. All the scrapyards get their own login codes, and new spare suppliers that we've got, but it's more a used spares thing, but we do a lot of new spares. We don't get involved in the sale. So whoever comes through to our call center, or they go to www.looking4spares.co.za. On the homepage, there's a parts request form. You can fill that parts request form in, and that goes through to our girls in the office, and they send it out, or you can phone the call center.
What are the difficulties of this business that you're in?
Difficulties are the confusion between the scrapyard parts salesman and the guy looking for the spares. They don't explain the part that they want in detail, and if the part gets sent to them, if it's a long distance thing and they can't find the parts, a lot of these guys will put the money into the scrapyard's account, but they don't give the correct details. And the scrapyard, vice versa, might think it's the right part. So there is that miscommunication, but that's why we've got the system. We've got a safe trade account, and they can use the safe trade account. We take a 5% fee. If you don't want to use the safe trade account, you're on your own. We don't get involved in any disputes.
Have you noticed in the last year or so, I mean, with the economy the way it is, that a lot of people are looking for cut price spares? I mean, have you noticed an increase in business?
In the last year, in 2014, our site has grown 20%, which means our scrapyards have had an increase of 20% of new leads that we've given them. And it definitely shows, because as soon as people run out of cash, they either go to the scrapyard, or they'll even buy a whole car and strip the car, and then what they want and sell the remainder of the car off.
What are the other difficulties of the business? I mean, this is big business. We're talking thousands of parts a day being sold in this city alone in Johannesburg.
It's huge business. The problem is the government doesn't like the fact that a lot of the parts are unaccounted for. There's also a lot of theft in this country, but the main thing is that the government loses a lot of tax money, and they actually wanted to ban scrapyards and the sale of used spares.
Well, I understand there's a proposal by government to actually close down scrapyards. Surely that would be very difficult, to say the least.
Look, nothing's impossible. The government, look, they'll create a war, because a lot of these people in this country that are out of jobs make a job by repairing these old cars, and where would they find spares? And a lot of them own these cars, and it's their pride and joy, and it's all they have. And what would become of a car that they've been saving up for and building from the time they were eligible to get a license, if you know what I'm saying? So,
and there's a lot of jobs we're talking about as well. Are you saying somewhere near 1 million jobs involved in the scrapyard?
If you think about the panel beaters, the private panel beaters, backyard panel beaters, small business guys that are fixing cars, panel beating, doing everything type of work, what would become of them? They would be out of a job. And a lot of these, if you had to take 1 million mechanics and panel beaters, that million translates into probably 4 or 5 million mouths that have to be fed.
How likely is it, do you think it'll happen?
Who knows? The insurance companies in this country are run by a conglomerate, and they won't have any of that. And they've got a lot of weight. So I think they're the number one guys that would sort of keep it quiet for as long as possible. But I think it's influenced by rich Chinese ministers that come here and influence the government to scrap the car business, the second-hand car business, and offer them a good deal on Chinese scrap cars that they want to start importing here, and we'll end up with a pile of Chinese scrap, basically.
So yourself, and what would be your ideal as an entrepreneur now? I mean, would you want to have regional spares business going on online, or what? Would you be wanting to?
Just the car sales, I think. Car sales is good. Scrapyard industry is difficult. It's a special kind of person that gets involved in it. Not anybody can be involved in a business like this. You got to be tough, and you got to put up with a lot of nonsense. It's not an easy thing to get something like this going.
What kind of nonsense?
Well, people come knocking on the door here and they want their money back, and they're not leaving without their money, and they start shouting and threatening, and you got to be able to deal with that. There's a lot of people out there, they buy a spare part from a scrapyard, and if it's not marked carefully by the scrapyard, they take it back and they swap the part, and then they bring it back and they say, it's not working, I want my money back. So there's all those problems. That's why a lot of these scrapyards, they do it on an exchange basis. They want the exchange unit, so you can't go back to your garage and quickly swap a part and then bring it back and demand you. They won't give you your money back. You got to understand, when you go to a scrapyard, you must know what you're buying, but it's also the scrapyard's obliged to give you a quality part.
Well, clearly you're making inroads in a very difficult business. What can I say? But Nick Ramsay, thank you very much for sharing your story with us.
Thanks.
Cheers. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for in this edition of the programme. From me, Chris Bishop, in a scrapyard in downtown Johannesburg, it's goodbye.